Welcome everybody to Sharf Sports Media, and today we'll be making our picks for Week 6 of the 2023 NFL season. I've been doing my picks almost every week. Every week I have been, but now we're gonna start uploading them to YouTube. So maybe I can help you guys with your picks. We could just keep a record of how good I am at making these NFL picks. So we're going to start with Thursday night football. You got the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Denver Broncos at Arrowhead. Kansas City is 10.5-point favorites going into this game. Question will be, does Travis Kelce play in this game? I'm leaning towards no, but I still love the Chiefs in this game. I mean, how could you not love the Chiefs in this game? Denver's offense is actually, I think, been better than some people give it credit for. Same with Russell Wilson. But their defense is Swiss cheese. They're getting graded left and right. They can't stop a horsefly. So with that case, when you're going up against the best quarterback in the league, the best offensive mind in the league, arguably with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, even though they're without Travis Kelce, I still am going to lean the Chiefs, and I think I would probably take the over 10.5. I would be cautious of that just because it is a divisional game, and divisional games tend to be closer than you might think. So I would take the Chiefs. I'd caution the 10.5. But if you had me make me pick a side, I would go Chiefs minus 10.5. Moving on to Sunday, you got the Tennessee Titans hosting the Lamar Jackson-led Baltimore Ravens. The Tennessee Titans coming off a loss to the Colts, while the Ravens are also coming off a divisional loss, this one to the Steelers in much more dramatic fashion. Both games were dramatic, but the fact that Baltimore blew that game was pretty wild. Baltimore comes in at -4, and I like the Ravens to bounce back in this game. The Ravens don't really have a great record against the Steelers, but with John Harbaugh, with Lamar Jackson, I have a hard time seeing this team really falter multiple games in a row. Does that mean I think they're going to score 35 points? Absolutely not. But I do think they find a way to win this game. I am not huge on this Titans team. I don't think Tannehill is very good. I think they need to get DeAndre Hopkins more involved in the red zone. Henry has not looked like the Derrick Henry of old. He still looked good, but they're using Tajay Spears, who's looked very good, but their defense has also kind of been very good on the run, but then also hit or miss in the air. I'm gonna take the Ravens here, and I would also take the -4. Moving on to the next 1:00 game, we have the Atlanta Falcons hosting the Washington Commanders. Now, Atlanta is 2.5-point favorites in this game, and I like Atlanta here at home. I think both offenses struggle a lot. I think you saw that last week a bit with the Washington Commanders on the Bears. Sam Howell started the season off pretty well, but is starting to struggle a bit, you've seen. And the Falcons, Desmond Ridder, I think we've all seen, is not really a long-term option for the Atlanta Falcons. So who would I rather put my trust in? The person I trust the most out of all these offenses is Bijan Robinson. So I'm going to put my trust in him. That run game that Atlanta has, ultimately, I'm going to pick Atlanta to win this game in a very low-scoring game, I believe, because Commanders defense still can get after the pass, still can get after the quarterback, Chase Young, Jonathan Allen. This is a group that can really, Montez Sweat, that was the other one. This is a group that can really get after the quarterback, but the fact that we just saw Justin Fields carve them up like he's carving a cake doesn't make me feel so good, especially on the outside with the corners. Emmanuel Forbes hasn't looked that great to start the year at the rookie corner. There's usually some struggles coming from a college at the cornerback position with a rookie. It's one of the harder positions to transfer from, but still, their secondary has not looked great. I'm going to take the Falcons, and I would take them laying the 2.5 points at home. Then we move on to the NFC North divisional matchup between the Chicago Bears and the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings coming off another heartbreaking loss, this time to the Chiefs. The Bears coming off their first win of the season against that Commanders. Minnesota 2.5-point favorites. And can the Bears ride that train? I'm going to say no. I think they got too much of a high last week, even though it was one win and they're still 1-4. I think they come back down to earth a little bit. And I think the Vikings, even without Justin Jefferson, I think they use Madison a little more. I think you're going to see a breakout game from Jordan Addison. KJ Osborne is not a bad receiver at all. I think you're going to see him get involved. And then also Cam Akers. You can use a two-back set kind of, which I haven't really used as much because Cam Akers obviously just got there pretty recently. But that's something you can use to your advantage. I ultimately think the Vikings will come away with the win here, and I would have them laying the 2.5 as well. Next game, we have the Cincinnati Bengals at home hosting the Seattle Seahawks. Cincinnati is 2.5-point favorites at home, and this is a tough one for me because I want to pick Cincinnati because Cincinnati should win this game, but until they proven to me in Cincinnati that they can beat a solid opponent like the Seahawks, I just can't. They're too inconsistent to pick them. I'm going to pick the Seahawks. This is a game, though, betting-wise, I would stay away from. Obviously, I would take them to cover the 2.5 if I'm going to take Seattle to win this game. But this is a game I would stay away from. You don't know how Joe Burrow is going to come out through this game. The Seahawks offense didn't look as great the past couple weeks. Against the Giants, they didn't look that great. But this defense, Devin Witherspoon, has looked awesome. The secondary has actually been getting better each week. So hopefully the Seahawks offensive line, you don't know what that's going to be like, speaking of the offense. So this is a very much a pick'em game to me. I'm going to go Seahawks, but I am not confident in that one at all. So yeah, this is one I would stay away from if you're betting. The next game is the Niners. They're going to Cleveland to face probably the Deshaun Watson-less Cleveland Browns. San Fran opening up at a 7-point favorite in Cleveland, and I'm smashing that. If I love San Francisco in this game, especially if Watson doesn't play. I think San Francisco has the best roster in the NFL. Purdy's playing well. He's had a lot of, don't get me wrong, he has a lot of help around him. He has a great receiving core, one of the best offensive lines, and arguably the best running back in football. But he's still making great throws and making great decisions, which means he's not losing the game for them. And that's the only way I see San Francisco losing some games. If they do, is Brock Purdy kind of makes some poor decisions, and that ultimately loses them the game. Otherwise, I don't see how San Francisco loses almost any game this year. That's how good I think San Francisco is. So I am slamming San Francisco here, and I take them with the points going to Cleveland -7. Next 1 o'clock game, we got the Miami Dolphins hosting the winless Carolina Panthers. Dolphins, their offense just continues. I said it in my post-game conference or post-game reaction after they beat the Giants. This offense has just looked like the next great offense. They are averaging more yards than the greatest show on turf. Panthers are struggling. They haven't won a game. They put up a bit of a fight 2 weeks ago against the Vikings. They got really shelled last week against the Lions, but I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to stand a chance in this game. They are 13.5-point underdogs. I would still take Miami with the points. That's a law. I don't like taking that many points, but I will end up taking Miami. If this was over 14, so if it was 14.5, I'd probably take the Panthers, giving almost anybody a 2-touchdown handicap. I feel like you almost have to take in this kind of league. I'm not saying I would every matchup, but very hard to take -14.5 for me in an NFL game. But 13.5, I will take the Dolphins. Moving to the Jacksonville Jaguars, hosting their division rival, the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts will be without Anthony Richardson for this game. How does that look now with Gardner Minshew? Minshew has played well for them. The Jaguars coming off the biggest win of the season for them in London, beating the Buffalo Bills. And I will say, going into that game, there was definitely an advantage for me for Jacksonville for being in London for a week. I think that showed with how rough the Bills started the game in the first half. But I still think they're the better team compared to the Colts, especially without Anthony Richardson. Jacksonville is 4-point favorites. I would probably take the Colts here just to cover that. I would take the Jags probably up to 2.5 points, so they don't. If they win by a field goal, they would still cover. But covering the field goal in a close divisional rival matchup like this, I would take the points. But I ultimately do think Jacksonville defends home turf and walks away with the W here in Week 6. Then the last 1 o'clock game we got the Saints. They're going down to Texas to play Houston. C.J. Stroud has had a great start to the year. New Orleans 1.5-point favorites in this game. This is really like a pick on what they're saying. The 1.5 points probably for Houston are just for most people noticing. They give points usually if you're home. You get an extra point or two. You know, the home field advantage. So this is basically what they're telling you is a pick 'em game. I am ultimately going to go with the Texans here in this game. So that means I also think they will cover the 1.5 points. I like what C.J. Stroud's doing. I really just don't have that much belief in the Saints. I know they're coming off a huge win versus the Patriots, but I just think the Patriots are that bad right now. I'm not a huge believer in the Saints. I really am not. I'm not the biggest Derek Carr guy. I think having Kamara back really helps, but if this team really wants to be dangerous, they need to get Mike Thomas. They need to get Chris Olave more involved. Olave has done well, but had a very quiet game last week because of the blowout, but you need to get both of those guys involved. You've had a lot of Olave. I need to see more Michael Thomas. I need to see Shaheed on the deep ball. I need some deep threats with Shaheed, not just throwing the ball 10 times to Alvin Kamara. Not that fantasy lovers don't want that, but I need to see the wide receivers get more involved in this game. And I just like what the Texans are doing, man. I think they're a very underrated team, especially at home. I'm going to take the Texans to win that game. Moving into the 4 o'clock hour, we got the New England Patriots coming off a brutal loss to the Saints, as I just said. They're traveling to Vegas to play the Raiders. The Raiders are 3-point favorites in this game. I think the Patriots are due for a bounce back. I am not big on the Raiders. I had the Packers winning. That hurt on Monday Night Football. I am not a believer in Jimmy G at all. I think Jimmy G is a bottom 5 quarterback in this league, starting wise. But until the Patriots prove me otherwise, I'm going to take Vegas -3. I would take that points. I think if they win by a field goal, you still push. So I would take the Raiders here at home to win this game, even though I'm not very confident in that, just because you got to think New England plays better, and Belichick has these guys playing a little bit better. It could be this game that really bounces them back, because they seem to always falter and then come back in a big game for the past couple years. I don't know if it's this game, but it definitely could be. But after last week's performance, I just can't pick the Patriots right now, so I'm going to pick the Raiders. Then we got the Cardinals playing their divisional rival, the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are 7-point favorites, and I like the Rams here. The Cardinals are a very stingy team. They fight you to the end. They really make you work hard to get a W, but you're just a touchdown here. I'm going to take the Rams. If it was 7.5, I'd probably lean Cardinals, but I'm going to take the Rams here. Getting Cooper Kupp back, he looked awesome last week. I think they need to get him involved more in the second half, maybe a bit in the red zone. Kyron Williams is going to get his touches back, I think. Ultimately, while this game probably close through the first half, maybe even through the third quarter, I think it starts to open up a bit more for the Rams in the fourth quarter, and the talent deficiency shows a bit. Because while Jonathan Gannon has these Cardinals playing. They still do lack talent compared to a lot of these teams that they're playing. So I'm going to go Cardinals, and I think they cover the 7-point spread. Then we got the Jets. They're going to be hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. Philly is a 7-point favorite going into MetLife, and I like Philly to cover that spread. It's sad as sad as it is as a Giants fan. I like the Eagles to cover this game. I think Zach Wilson has played well in a couple weeks, played decently well against the Broncos, considering he didn't really cost them anything. Wasn't a minus to them. I think that's a big factor for the Jets. You can't have him taking away any possession. You can't have him throwing crazy picks. You got to have him at least helping your team and not hurting. And I think he did that. But I think this Eagles defense is a whole nother beast. Jalen Carter and those Georgia Bulldogs or those Georgia Eagles are going to be after him. Jordan Davis, N'Kobe, Dean. This is just a different animal when it comes to facing this Eagles team. I think Hurts and this O-line is going to be able to hold up just enough for them to put some points on the board and cover that spread and win the game at MetLife against the Jets. So I'm taking the Eagles. Then, last 4 o'clock slate, 4:25, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the Detroit Lions. The Lions curb stomped the Carolina Panthers last week, and I think they continue that. They are 3-point favorites in this game. I love that spread for the Lions. I am not a believer at all in this Tampa Bay team. I do not think they're that good. I think that they have had kind of a favorable schedule to start, I'll say. And I think it's going to start, once they start playing these better teams, they're going to start piling up some losses. I love this Detroit team. I love them to cover. That might be my favorite play of the week, Detroit to cover that spread. So I'm going to take the Lions and Jared Goff here to win that game. Then, Sunday Night Football, get on primetime. Why you keep putting us on primetime? Take us off. You got the Buffalo Bills facing the New York Giants, and I will get more into detail in my pregame or review or analysis of this game that will come out on Friday. What I think going into this matchup for my Giants, it's not good. It's not good. I'm gonna take the Bills here at home to curb stomp us. I'm gonna take the Bills, and I'm gonna take the spread. Minus 14. If it was 14.5, I might take the Giants, but 14, it gives them 2 touchdowns. They can still push. I'm going to take Buffalo. I really think it's going to be tough for the Giants to come into Buffalo and win this game, especially after a disappointing loss from Buffalo last week. If the Giants have any hope, they got to force Josh Allen to make some bad throws, force him to throw into double, triple coverage. Daniel Jones and Saquon both have to play, I think, and you got to get creative on how to work some offense with this wet paper towel as an offensive line, because it is bad. All right, then moving on to the last game of the week, Monday Night Football. You got the LA Chargers hosting the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys coming at 2.5-point favorites, and this will probably be an upset for most people, but I got the Chargers winning this game. I think the Cowboys got humbled a bit in San Francisco last week. I think it took them a step back. I think they're going to take another one. Not that I don't think this Cowboys team is good. Not that I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they are. But I think a huge part of this game is the fact that Austin Eckler is going to be back. And the fact that the Chargers just came off their bye week and it's only been 5 weeks. So they're going to be very fresh for this game. Very fresh. Keenan Allen's going to be very fresh. Justin Herbert's going to be very fresh. Bosa's going to be even healthier for this game. So the fact that they've gotten that bye, they've been able to scout, they've been able to prep for the Cowboys for 2 weeks. They're on Monday Night Football, even more rest for them. I think this offense does some damage a bit against this Cowboys defense, and I think Joey Bosa has a big day hitting Dak Prescott at least. I think people are definitely slandering Dak Prescott a lot, and I don't think people are giving him, which is weird for me to say, is I don't like the Cowboys, but I don't think they're giving him enough credit. I don't think people are saying he sucks. I still think this Cowboys team and Dak Prescott is a good quarterback. He's not some scrub. Is he an elite quarterback? Hell no. But he's in the Kirk Cousins class, I think, above Kirk Cousins or around Kirk Cousins, and that's still a decent, solid QB. So, but ultimately, I do think the Chargers win this one at home. They go above 500, bringing the Cowboys back to 500, and it really will. There'll be some questions asking in Dallas. But those are my picks for Week 6 of the 2023 NFL season. Let me know your picks in the comments. My Twitter's down below. You could tell me what you like about my picks, what you don't like about my picks, why my Giants are going to win this week, and give me some joy and break my pick wrong. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. I'll see you on the other side.